Hey folks, welcome. So today I'm going to be showing a quick demo of k0rdent, how to use that, and then provision a Kubernetes cluster on Azure in just a few minutes, right? So I'm going to be using kind for this particular use case, and let's first create a kind cluster, right? Let's just do that. That'll take a few seconds to spin up, and while that's happening, I'm going to head over to docs.k0rdent.io and then copy the helm install command for installing k0rdent on my kind cluster, right? Okay, looks like the kind cluster is up and running and all the parts are also fine. Now let's go ahead and install k0rdent. So what this will do, this will use the upstream Helm chart of 1.0.0 version and then deploy all the services. This will pull up the CAPI controllers, so the CAPX controllers for Capo, Kappa, CAPZ, and so on for various cloud providers. For Azure, we're interested in CAPZ, right? And then the KCM controllers as well as the Cosmonaut controllers. It would also provision the Sweltos controller for day two operations that I'll quickly show in a while, right? So let's just give it a few minutes and then I'll come back. All right, now let's check the pods in the KCM system namespace. That's where we installed our Helm chart as well. So yeah, like, as you can see, we have a bunch of CapEx pods, and the one we're interested in for this particular session would be CapC, which is Azure specific controller, right? And then the Cosmotron controllers for which act as your control plane managers, and underneath this, it uses K0s as your Kubernetes distro. And then we have a bunch of KCM controllers as well, right? A bit of preparation that one has to do while, before deploying a cluster on Azure. So I've got these credential files, and by the way, all this is documented in the k0rdent docs. And the secret is essentially the client secret that helps you communicate between your Kubernetes cluster and your Azure cloud, right? So for now, I'm going to apply. So KA is nothing but I've just put up a shortcut, kubectl hyphen and KCM system, so as to avoid typing it often. Right? So I'm going to do kubectl apply hyphen f to credential files, and this will create that secret and the Azure cluster identity, which is referenced in a credential CR, which is of k0rdent, right? And then this config map also, which is less important right now, but it helps propagate the secret to your child clusters as well, right? And that's about the preparation that you have to do before actually, launching this. So now let's go to our cluster deployments folder, and I've got a, give me a second. Right. So I've got my cluster templates in here that are pre-installed when you install k0rdent onto your cluster, right? And as you can see, we're going to be using the Azure standalone CP100. Let me show you the cluster deployment I'm going to be using. So every cluster deployment follows this pattern. You mention the template that you're using, you specify the credential that we just created, and the infrastructure specific configuration, which is Azure specific right here, right? So let's go ahead and apply this cluster deployment, right? And then let's list them, and there you go. In the backend, k0rdent has taken this, and then it parses this, does a bunch of stuff. Let's wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll get back once it's ready. Yeah. All right. So I did a watch on the cluster deployment resource, and as you can see, it went through a whole bunch of stages. And finally, we have the cluster deployment ready, right? And let me show you, these are the machines because we provided like one control plane and one work node, right? So we can just as easily go to a new tab. I've exported the kubeconfig, use that, and then, yeah, there you go. We have the Kubernetes cluster. And you can use this particular resource and still maintain provision, scale up, scale down, and so on. Thank you.